Welcome to the 2025 Meet the FiReStarters panel. It's not a panel, it's a pitch session. So I am very excited to introduce you to our 2025 FiReStarter companies. These are companies that are using technology to change the world for the better in some way. There's a broad ecosystem of companies that have been FiReStarters in the past, and you'll see that the FiReStarters this year are no different. They are covering a wide range of topics, but they're all really incredible. So the way that this works is many of these companies are fundraising, not all of them, but many of them. And we will also be holding a reception this evening from, I don't want to misstate this, 5 to 7 p.m., right outside. There will be delicious heavy appetizers for dinner and a full bar. So we want you to have a great time talking to each other, talking to them, asking them any questions that you might have about their companies. And I would encourage you, if you're not yourself an investor, to think about who are the people that I know or the companies that I know that might be able to help these companies. FIRE is a community that succeeds when we support each other. We succeed because of the network that is here today, but also because of the network that's not here today. And so I just want to encourage everyone here to think of these companies. Our job as a community is to support these companies into the future. And for many of the reasons that we've talked about today and in general, the success of startups is not guaranteed, right? It's an extremely long and challenging road to be successful as a startup company, especially in some of these areas where the technology is new or innovative or harder to explain to people. And so I think it's important for this group to think of ourselves as we are joint shareholders in these companies, right? And so let us support their work today, but also in the future through connections and through your willingness to tell your friends about what they're doing and to help them make the world a better place. Next up, we've got Navya Akkinepally joining us, who is the co-executive director at Learning Equality. Learning Equality is building equity in education. Navya, welcome to the stage.
Blurred, but it's okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Navya, co-executive director at the nonprofit Learning Equality. 13 years ago, as you can see in this picture, I taught in a low-income government school in India. I had 45 students in one classroom, most of them several grades behind. I was lucky to have one personal laptop, and even though I didn't have reliable internet, I'd download videos at home and bring them into my classroom. We did what we could with what we had: collaborative learning, hands-on learning, and storytelling. And I saw real growth, not just in test scores, but in building curiosity, voice, and also a lot of potential in these learners. But I also felt the limitations. I couldn't always meet each learner where they were. I didn't have tools that helped me adjust my instruction quickly in the classroom. And I knew that while my students were brilliant, and they were, the systems around us weren't built for them to succeed. I was one of the tens of millions of teachers globally across the world who even today, a decade later, more than a decade later, are still teaching in overcrowded classroom with limited materials and no real-time feedback or training. And I didn't leave the classroom because I lost faith. I left because I wanted to build the tools and structures that teachers and learners in communities like the ones that I was a part of really deserved. Not someday, but today. At Learning Equality, we spent over a decade working where the internet doesn't reach. While most ed tech tools assume constant connectivity, the reality is this: 2.6 billion people still globally lack access to the internet. And too many classrooms are stuck in rote learning methods and with limited resources to change that. And 7 out of 10 children cannot and do not have the foundational skills that they need, not because they lack potential, but because the systems around them are failing. And the very digital tools that could help close equity gaps may end up widening them, unless we act. You can see some familiar backgrounds here, but we've been working on these issues right from the beginning. So learning equality began right here in the UC San Diego campus, and our office in this building, and our ambitious co-founders built an offline-first version of Khan Academy on a Raspberry Pi, and that's where it all started. And now we're a global team of experts in cognitive science, education, international development, AI, and software engineering. So this is our home, but it blossomed truly from here. And our team is behind our product Colibri. It's an open source, offline first platform designed specifically for low resource environments. It works without an internet and on a variety of low cost and legacy hardware and supports both learners and teachers. But what makes it powerful isn't just the tech. It's what happens when tech supports joyful learning to come to life. So imagine this. A 12-year-old girl in Uganda, Janet, as you can see, walks into her classroom. She starts the day discussing real transportation challenges her community faces. Then she watches a short video on triangles in Colibri, does a quick exercise, and builds a working prototype out of sticks with her peers. She takes a quiz on Colibri to assess her understanding of the topic. Her teacher can see how she's doing in real time and guides her next steps. She went from not being able to do basic addition to doing two-digit subtraction and connecting her learning to make change in her community. This is what learning with technology can look like, even when it's meaningful and even when they're offline. And Janet is one of the 97% of out-of-school learners who were re-enrolled in school after our program. But here's the key. As we all have been discussing and know, by 2030, 70% of the skills required for most jobs will have changed, driven largely by AI advancements. And this shift emphasizes the growing importance of human-centric skills like critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability, and resilience. Yet, learners in disconnected communities risk being left further behind, not just in access to AI tools, but in developing these future-ready skills. So now we're going further. We're building AI tools that work offline, that teachers and learners can actually use in low connectivity environments. First, we're developing content recommendation engines tailored to local needs, providing access to foundational skills as well as AI literacies. Next, we're developing a WhatsApp-based AI assistant to support teacher coaching at scale. And behind the scenes, we're using small open source models optimized for low power hardware and using RAG to ground responses in locally relevant content. So we are a nonprofit that is continuing to build an ecosystem, one that is open, adaptable, and community-driven. And it's working. So far, we've reached 13 million learners in more than 220 countries and territories in learning spaces like in prisons, in refugee camps, and in classrooms. Because of our free, open source, do-it-yourself model, other organizations have picked up and implemented Colibri at scale and in their own communities across dozens of government schools in Uganda. And because of how we provide support to organizations, we've seen organizations in Bangladesh really use it with teachers and learners in government schools across scale, across the country. And they've seen so many improvements in motivation, digital literacy skills, as well as math. But today we're at a crossroads, and in 5 years, we know that learning will look completely different, shaped by AI and shaped by those who have power over information. And if we don't invest in open ecosystems focused on the needs of teachers and learners right now in this moment, and especially those without the internet, we will miss the moment and leave behind millions. And we received generous support from organizations like Google.org, Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, and Hewlett Foundation over the years to support learners and reach scale globally. But this year, we're looking to raise $3 million to meet our current strategic goals. And this investment will help us bring the power of AI designed for equity, not just efficiency. And at the end of the day, we want to ensure that when the future of learning arrives, every learner has the skills, tools, and support to thrive. So I welcome you all to join us by fueling this movement through your support, by advocating for equitable education technology globally, and helping to make connections to supporters who believe every learner deserves the chance to thrive, no matter where they live or whether they're online, because it's a right for everyone, including Janet, who you saw in the picture. Thank you so much.